Moving on to the Albert Bartlett, and another Willie Mullins favourite here in the shape of Statler, who's 11-2. Fakira, who's been very well supported, is 15-2. Toriograph, 8-1. Barbados Bucks, 9-1. Al Philippe is 10-1. Farouk Dalen, 16-1. Adramel is 16-1. 3 under True 5, 16-1. And it's 20-1 bar. Dean Ryan, Statler, is one of these favourites, right? That everybody's kind of going, yeah, he's favoured, he's trained by Willie Mullins, he's got a chance, and you're kind of looking for something to take him on. Might this be a Willie Mullins favourite that actually we should back?
No, don't think so. I'd be in that camp. Just, it looks short enough. I can't get inspired by it. I feel similar about Fakira and even Barbados Bucks and Toriograph and Alafipe. All those ones you named at the top end don't inspire me. It's not a race I'm going to be getting too heavily involved in. The one that I do like that has a profile with upside, I think, is Tom Lacey's Adramel. I thought the plan has been coming nicely together with that. It's been super progressive. They went for a bit of headgear, didn't they, the last time, and it seemed to sharpen up the jumping. Dickie Johnson will ride, 16-1. I think that's an each way play in the Albert Bartlett, and that's where I'll be going. Nothing at the top end inspires me. I'm sure they're all good horses, but Adramel looks the one with upside for me.
Lovely stuff, and it's upside in the price as well. It's 16-1. Diarmuid Nolan, what do you like in the Albert Bartlett? Which, for years, I did Cheltenham preview nights, and we were all saying, you don't want the sexy horses here. You want the horses that have ran loads, that have loads of experience, that are tough. And then you kind of go, well, hold on a second. Monkfish beat latest exhibition, Fury Road and Time Hill, 4 classy horses. Manila Indo won it, classy horse. So maybe things have turned here. Maybe you do want the classy horse now, do you, Diarmuid?
I think you always want the classy horse, regardless of kind of, of what it is. I remember one time Dom Poley, people were ruling him out because he hadn't ran within a certain amount of days and stuff. There's always those kind of trends that are there to be beaten. But there's one very strong trend. Like, I wouldn't be the biggest trend man in the world unless they're useful. And there's 12 of the 15 winners of the Albert Bartlett ran over 2 miles 7 or further before taking part in the Albert Bartlett. Monkfish last year ran over 2 miles 7 at Clonmel, or was it Turles, whichever one of them it was. And Statler to me I'm not convinced he's an out and out stayer. I know Danny Mullins gave him a fantastic ride last time, but I'm not sure he wants this test. Fakira to me I'd fancy you more in the Midlands National than I would in the Albert Bartlett. I think he's actually even too slow for this. Barbados Bucks, I don't think that he's achieved anything really. And Paul Nicholls has a terrible record with novice hurdlers at the Cheltenham Festival. I am landing on Pat's Fancy at 50-1. There's I got dogs views for this horse. You like
this horse, Dave? Do you know what I've done? I've listened to the Racehour before, and I've heard you tip up Pat's Fancy before.
I have got dogs views for this horse because he ended up he was meant to run about 6 or 7 weeks in a row, and he just kept not turning up. So I ended up tipping him every week, and then he just was a non-runner. So it really looked like I was absolutely cracked about it. But you have to forget the last. Yeah, you have to forget the last run because literally about 4/5 of the field pulled up behind the cob. That was a terrific ground that day at Doncaster. But in a bumper in October, he was a length behind Al Philippe in October this season, and he gave him £3 that day. He then went on next time, didn't run great in the bumper, but the run after that, then his first run over hurdles, he beat Gladiator Allen at Foslas, and then he went on to Cheltenham, and he finishes 7 lengths behind Make Good in a 3-mile race there. But the last hurdle was taken out that day. So when he jumps the last, he's alongside Make Good. But Make Good has ran, 35 times in the flat before that day. He just did him for toe up the running. But he still holds off Ask a Honeybee. He handles the track brilliantly. That was a really serious effort. And he's coming into this 50-1, and there's nothing between him and Al Philippe based on a bumper now. Of course, that could be just nothing. But just with how bad I think this race is, I think 50-1 about Pat's Fancy to me just seems huge, absolutely huge. It's an unfashionable yard with Rebecca Curtis, but there's glimmers of form there that just make you think that 50-1.
Whoa, hold on a second now. Unfashionable and Rebecca Curtis don't go in the same sentence.
I don't mean it like that, unfortunately. We all know how fashionable she is, obviously. But at 50-1, I just think Pat's Fancy is a big price.
Well, you know what, David? Win, lose or draw, it doesn't matter because 50-1 shots. It takes guts to put up the 50-1 shot, and fair play to you. 50-1, Pat's fancy. What do you make of Pat's fancy, Mikey? What do you make of his last couple of runs?
Hey, Diarmuid Nolan has done it again. Huh? That's some. I tell you one thing. I know why they're implying you. You aren't going around with your head in the bucket of sand. Yeah, I like Pat's fancy after hearing that. Yeah. And
I'd say now, up until about 2 minutes ago, you didn't know if Pat's fancy was a camel, a cat, a dog, or a horse, did you?
I thought Pat's fancy was actually who Pat fancied. I had a friend of mine in Camden Street. But I like the sound of that now. It's a farce of a race, like really. I've rode it a couple of times. Sure, you need age, experience, and stamina, and Pat and Rebecca Curtis is a nice trainer. So, as you said, Jennings, she's very fashionable.
Yes.
Put off the leather jeans and that look well in Cheltenham, I suppose. We'll give her the nod for that. Pat's
so you're a Pat's fancy fan.
Yeah, Pat's fancy. I like that one. I don't like Statler. Look at. I know you're giving. I have to do something for the show. Yeah, not for me. No chance.
Okay, Statler, no chance.
I don't think he's enough experience. Hasn't ran over a solid trip. If the ground gets a bit soft, it's a grueling race. It throws up funny results. Briar Hill to Deck Duty to all those. They get stuffed in it. You know, classy horses. And I wouldn't like. I'd agree with Diarmuid there. Something like that, or Fakira maybe of the Irish. I think he had the best shout of the Irish. Ran well there in a Grade 1, and he's about 12 runs. Gordon Elliott fit as a butcher's knife, and that's what you need. But races behind the bridle, yeah. So that'd be for me. Fakira and Pat's fancy. Yeah,
I think Fakira's got a cracking chance. And one I'm going to throw into the mix, because I think he scoped dirty last time, is Ashdale Bob for Jessica Harrington. Paddy Kennedy rode him last time. I think his form from his win at Navan is really strong form. Both the maiden hurdle and then the Grade 2. I thought he had a big chance at left percent. He scoped bad. So Ashdale Bob for me at 25-1. David Mullins, do you like Statler?
I love the horse. He's a great leper. I think he'd stay all day. But in a Grade 1, I couldn't have him. I think he's more of an Irish national or an English national type of horse. He's not going to be quick enough from A to B, and he's going to be put on his head. And if you put Mo Farah in a race with Usain Bolt, you can only run as hard as you can for so long. So that's the reason I can't have him in that race.
What can you have?
Not much. Farouk Dalin, having gone from winning that race in Limerick because it often throws up a good horse.
Yeah.
He went off even money in that race in Navan, the Grade 2, I think it was, or maybe it was a Grade 3. Jack Kennedy rode him. He was the first pick of Gordon's over a good bunch of novices Gordon had in that race. So they think a lot of him. He stays. He's won the race that often throws up the winner of the Albert Bartlett. It's Farouk Dalin for me.
Fahim won that race, didn't he?
He did.
Donn McClean.
Tower won it.
What?
Martello Tower went on to win the Albert Bartlett.
So did Penn Hill.
Yeah.
Good work. That's good homework, lads. Donn McClean, what'll win the Albert Bartlett?
I think it's an interesting race, David. When Fakira stayed on the last day in the Natalia Lacey race, I thought, that's an Albert Bartlett run, but he's just shorted. I think he's around about his right price. I think Statler could win it, but I think he's shorter than he should be, really. I thought Fakira was probably the one, even though Statler finished in front of him. I think the step up in trip will suit Fakira more, and it's not just stepping up to 3 miles. We know this race, it's a real grueling race. You have to really stay to get it. I think Torygraph, he doesn't have the class maybe that those two have, but he's a real dig deep, gutsy, stay all day. And even when he won at Thurles, Jack Kennedy said afterwards that he doesn't do an awful lot at home. You wouldn't even see him standing out at home, but just when he gets onto the track and gets into a rhythm and goes over racing pace, over staying distances, then you'd want him on your side. And the race that he won, the WT O'Grady race, Monkfish won that race last year, so it can be a point or two. So I think Torygraph, he was big price after he won that race. He's a shorter price now, probably because it looks like he's going for it now. But I think he's interesting. And the other horse is I think might run well at a price is Atlantic Fairy if she goes here in the Ballymore as well. And
that was a hell of a performance at Navan.
It was a hell of a performance, and her time was ridiculous. Like, she actually clocked. There were 3 races run over 2 miles 5 on the day, and she was faster between her flights at nearly every flight than the handicap was later in the day. And I think she was 10 seconds faster than Beacon Edge was in winning the Boyne Hurdle. Now, look, they didn't go any pace in the Boyne Hurdle, and that didn't suit Fury Road.
But I was like you. I thought she was going way too quick, and I said, has to come back, and just kept going.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I put the 3 races on the the clock this time from the first flight, and I think she was faster just about their hand time, so it's not absolutely accurate, but
that's all right. You're good, Don. You're experienced. You're good at it.
It's So to go faster between every single flight of hurdles than the race later in the day. I mean, it was some performance, and then overall faster. I think she was faster by 10 seconds on Racing Post clock, but from the first flight on my hand time, she was faster by 8 seconds than Beacon Edge in a Grade 2 for a novice. It was a big performance, and look, she's inexperienced and she hasn't gone over 3, but she did run well in the point-to-point, so that there's every chance that she'll stay. And if she runs in the Albert Bartlett instead of in the Ballymore, then Henry de Bromhead, obviously, that'll be an indicator that he thinks she'll stay. So, yeah, I just think she's interested in getting the mayor's allowance as well.
Certainly is. Dean Ryan, you have the final say on the Albert Bartlett.
Adramel, you already came to me, DJ.
Did I? It's getting late. In my head there, I was going,
You're right.
Who have I left? I go to Dean. Did I leave any of you out?
No, you're all good.
All good.
So,